A story of betrayal. Here is Sol Campbell's shock move from Tottenham Hotspur to Arsenal. Campbell grew up in East London and began his youth career playing as a striker for West Ham. He was then recruited by a Spurs scout, leading him to join the Tottenham youth team. Campbell made his Spurs debut against Chelsea in 1992, scoring a goal in his debut in a 2-1 defeat. However, that was Campbell's only appearance that season, and in the following season, he begins playing as a defender. Despite the multiple changes in managers and the poor league performances at Spurs, Campbell was still developing as a player. He eventually became captain and actually won the League Cup final in 1999 and was also named in the PFA Team of the Year. In the following season, Campbell was falsely accused of fracturing a steward's arm during a scuffle in a game against Derby County. The club's lawyers advised them to admit some level of wrongdoing in order to avoid conviction. However, Campbell refused to do so because he knew that he was innocent. The club then told him to find his own legal defense, and later the case eventually was dismissed. The lack of vision at the club, the poor performances, and the lack of support during a serious assault case that Campbell was going through left him to question his actual relationship with the club. In Campbell's last contractual year, he suffered a shoulder dislocation that left him sidelined for several months. Campbell suffered multiple injuries throughout his entire career, and especially in his last season. His final game for Spurs, funny enough, will end up being against Arsenal in the FA Cup semi-final. Campbell was actually not meant to play in that game. He was still not in full fitness due to an ankle injury, but after taping it up and shooting it with some pain reliever, he still managed to play. Unfortunately, after committing a foul on Ray Parlour ended up landing on Campbell's right ankle, re-injuring it, and unfortunately he had to be subbed off. Campbell's contract officially expired the summer of 2001. For some additional context at the time, in December of 1995, the European courts passed a law known as the Bosman ruling. John Mark Bosman was a Belgian player that wanted to leave his club after his contract expired. A team in France wanted Bosman, but they refused to pay his transfer fee. So Bosman was stuck with his old club, had to sign a new deal, and had to take a 75% wage cut. He decided to bring his case to the European courts, suing UEFA and the Belgian Football Federation. The Bosman ruling allowed EU players whose contracts expired with their club the ability to move anywhere without a transfer fee being owed. Now, because of this new ruling, Spurs were afraid to lose Sol Campbell on a free transfer. So they decided to offer him a contract, making him the most paid Spurs player of all time. Campbell had a lot of offers from many clubs around Europe. However, there were no rumors of Campbell joining Arsenal at all. However, his final decision would shock the entire world. Sol Campbell leaves Spurs to join Arsenal. The instability at Tottenham and the lack of support during serious times left him to leave the club. The move was still crazy, however. Sol Campbell was going on interviews saying he was going to stay at Spurs, Spurs for life, saying he rejected moves to Man United, never going to join Arsenal, yet he made one of the craziest moves of all time. But nonetheless, Campbell went on to win 3 FA Cups, 2 Premier Leagues, and was a crucial part of Arsenal's invincible season. One of England's best defenders of all time, Sol Campbell's shocking move to Arsenal still confuses many, but it might have paid off.